Hey there, fellow artists. How are you guys doing? It's Tim Lee. Welcome to Legacy Studio and another Draw Too Much sketch lesson here on my channel. So let's talk a little bit really quick. If you saw my previous video, I was saying, I'm done with Adobe. And it's a big deal to say that. If you consider that I'm a fan of Adobe since before Adobe had Creative Cloud, since before Adobe had the Creative Suite, since before Macromedia sold all of their stuff to Adobe. Only some of you will know what I'm talking about. That's how far back I go in the world of Adobe. To suddenly say that I am done with Adobe I can't even put a comparison to it. It's basically, well, for your millennials out there, it's like saying I don't do social media anymore, which is a lie. I love social media. But the point that I'm trying to make is it is removing my right hand. My right hand is my drawing hand. I absolutely love Adobe products. I think they're amazing. I think they're excellent. I think they're fantastic programs, but they are not worth $57.99 per month. Now you're going, well, Tim, you don't have to do that. You can get a cheaper version. You can get it for like $20 or something. Here's the thing, and I think they do this purposefully. Me as a designer, there's several programs that I use, and me as a video maker, there's several programs that I use. I use Photoshop, I use Illustrator, I use Audition, and I use Premiere. Okay, 4 different programs. To get all of those programs, I can either get each one individually for $20 a piece, 20, 40, 60, 80 a month. Or, not to forget Lightroom. I love Lightroom. So let's say $100, and I know certain ones are different prices, blah, 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 blah. Or they go, oh, that's okay. You don't have to spend $100. We have the whole suite just for people like you. And at one point in time, it was $49.99 per month, which is still a ridiculous price. But if you are selling stuff out of that software, then maybe you can get away with it. That's fine. But, I mean, $50, that's a lot of money. That's another cell phone bill. And trust me, that's a little less than a cell phone bill, but this is the point I'm making. A little later on, a couple years later after I had Adobe and I'm such a fan of it, they raised it to $52.99. Meh, okay, I think I get it. Raising the price by $3. I think I get it. Well, now they've just gone up again to $57.99, and can I just, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I can't, they're cutting out the little guy. The people that need that software, the people that will keep you thriving and talk you up and make you popular, the young adults of our generation cannot afford $57.99. It's ridiculous. Have I made my point? Okay. So I made this whole video explaining that I've left and that I've gone and I'm trying to learn Affinity Photo, Affinity Design, and that I use DaVinci Resolve to edit all my videos now and stuff. So I've moved away from a lot of that. I'm using another software which I don't have installed on this computer right now. And that I use that one instead of Lightroom, and it's not as great as Lightroom, but it's needless to say, one thing I didn't mention is the software that I prefer the most for drawing. Because a lot of us go, oh, Photoshop is the art to draw on. Well, no, it's not the software to draw on. So let me show you the software I would suggest for you, okay? Now, here's the important note. This is going to cost you money, but it's not a per-month basis unless you do their mobile stuff. And I got to tell you, if you have an iPad, get it. It's like $5.99 a month or something like that. It's really not that bad. Even $7.99 a month, whatever it was, I'm willing to pay that because the software is just as good on the iPad as it is on my computer. But I use it on my computer because I have a ginormous Wacom Cintiq screen in front of me here. And actually, maybe I can turn on this camera here and show it to you here real quick. I mean, and you can kind of see it here. This little screen right here, I have it on an arm mounted on the side of my desk. I can move it and pull it where I want. So I have it here for drawing. So in saying that, what software would I suggest for artists out there? If you are trying to find software and you really want something that feels good for an artist, maybe you're a comic artist or whatever, what would I suggest? Let me show you. I have it right here. Now, I do have it oversized on purpose because, truth be told, this software on this screen is like a 4:3, and this software is doing its thing in 16:9. I know a lot of that stupid stuff, so let me size it down here and show it to you. This is Clip Studio Paint Pro. Now, before it was Clip Studio Paint Pro, it was called Manga Studio. Manga Studio, or Manga Studio, however you choose to go, means that it's really great for comic artists especially. And I personally love this software, hands down. Let me go ahead and size it back up here so that you guys can see it in all of its glory, even though I know I'm blocking the top and bottom off. I'm just going to sketch a little bit and talk a little bit about this program and why I like it over things like Photoshop and stuff like that. And I'm just going to sketch around a little bit. Now, I don't have this tablet completely set back up. I just factory reset my whole computer. I've put in a new graphics card. The main reason I haven't made videos in a while is simply because the computer that I had decided to give up the ghost on me. And we've been doing a lot of stuff to get that fixed so that I can start making videos for you guys again. And it was a pain. All right, so you can see here, I just have a little sketch here. I love sketching in Clip Studio, and truth be told, I have sold thousands upon thousands of dollars out of this software and out of this software on my iPad. It really, truly is amazing. Now, if you ask me, Tim, why don't you go Procreate? Well, that's a very good question. I love Procreate. I have Procreate, but I'm a iOS 13 beta tester. Now, they've just released the iOS 13, so I'm sure that's changing a little bit, but just recently I was in Procreate, which I draw in a lot. I really do like it, and I've sold a lot of money out of Procreate, too. Sold a lot of art out of Procreate as well. And I could not get my files off of Procreate. I couldn't share them anywhere. I couldn't save them. There was a flaw, some kind of issue that I couldn't fix. And because of that, I just stopped using it and I went back to Clip Studio. Which one do I like more? Depends on what you're using them for. If I am doing a video for YouTube and I'm just drawing something up randomly that I'm going to throw up on YouTube here on this channel, Procreate is amazing because Procreate records a video in the background of your recording. If I was to do that here on this, I would have to take this video, take it into these video software I use, which is right now DaVinci Resolve, which I love. It's a free editing program. I don't know why it's free. It's just truly amazing. Speed it up, and then I could play it back on YouTube, which is a lot of rendering time, a lot of editing time. It's a lot of stupid stuff. Where Procreate automatically records every single line. It doesn't record the amount of time you record. It records every single time your pen touches the screen. It's flawless and amazing. And then if I wanted to, I could bring it in here, put some audio over it, and then upload it. But if you're doing professional gig work, or if you're drawing cartoons like I do so often, or whatever the case may be, drawing caricatures like I do, you want the freedom and flexibility to do a lot of things like drawing in symmetry, which up until more recently, you couldn't do that in Procreate. And I gotta admit, in Procreate, it's not as easy to draw in symmetry as it is to do it here. Other things that I love about this is the selection of brushes in this just feels more my style. I love using stabilization. Stabilization is a big deal for me. Being able to have control over my stabilization when I draw is very important, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. I think that the stabilization in this program absolutely rocks, and though, yes, there is stabilization, what's also known as streamline in Procreate, this does it better, in my opinion. And I can't really tell you exactly why. I can just tell you it's smooth, it's flowy, it's juicy, it's nice, it's yummy. And then finally, when it comes down to it, you can make, at a certain point in time, if you go into Procreate and you decide, I want to do a drawing for a banner, I want to do a drawing for something really, really big and fancy, you go and you can make a new canvas, and you can make it pretty much whatever size you want, but as you continue to make that canvas bigger and bigger, you lose how many layers you can utilize, and I utilize a lot of layers. That's a big deal, and not being able to have all those layers that you can utilize, it's just a pain. So what I enjoy more is this program, because in this program, I can use as many layers as I want, and I can create whatever I want, and there's no stipulation. There's no rules that you bump into. I find that 9 times out of 10, technology is still catching up with me. When I decide to do something, the people who've invented the software, the people who've invented the hardware, can't keep up with my needs. And so far, Clip Studio Paint Pro has still gone past my needs. If this software wants to be perfect for me in my eyes, then what they need to do is put in an auto record feature like Procreate has. So like I said, it depends on what you're using it for. Let's talk a little bit about this whole stabilization of the brush. So let me find my keyboard here and zoom in here to our artwork that I've just been sketching for giggles. And please, by all means, down below, ask questions. Tell me what you want me to teach you to draw. We've gone through a series. Within the last 6 months, I was in Indiana, and if you look at the past couple videos before I did my Adobe versus Affinity comment, the last video I made, I was teaching a series of lessons on how to draw caricature at a conference, and it was a ton of fun. They've asked me to come back next year. I said I would absolutely love to be back there, and I intend to go again. So in about a year, we'll hopefully go back there and be able to do all the same stuff over again and get some cool video. In saying that, let me show you this whole streamline feature. I'm going to go ahead and change my brush over to black here. And the G pen is a really excellent brush. I love using the G pen. And then right here is stabilization, okay? And truth be told, at one point in time, I would only set it to about 30. And I would do stabilization at 30. Because one of the things I've talked about is you don't want to lose your personality in your line work. If I turn off the stabilization and I draw a line, you can see it does amazing at getting this nice little detail line at the very top, but look at all this jaggedness as it's coming down here. It might not look like much, it might look fairly clean, it might even look like it's just pixelated, but no, that's a very odd line. So as you continue to bring up the stabilization, here's 4, it removes a little bit of it at a time. And what I've taught you guys in the past, in the world of digital, before these softwares have learned to do as good as they do, I've always taught you speed is key. Speed is the most important thing in drawing in digital format. And if you can't draw with speed, then your lines are never going to look clean. This is true. Now that we have better software that understands this fact, that's not as necessary anymore. And I've been able to slow down and focus on my line quality more. So at one point in time, I would draw at about 30 to 40. Okay, so there's 35. And if I draw a line, that looks nice and clean. All through here, this looks nice and clean. But right up here, we got a little weird little divvy thing. And it's not absolutely perfect. You know, it's good, but maybe it could be better. And if you're going slow, you're still going to get some waves and things like that. So I've cheated, and I've pumped it up to 100. But let me show you why. Most of the work I've been doing more recently does a lot more where I do need it at 100 because I'm doing stuff that looks much more vector in nature. And let me show you. I always like to drop my previous layer, and then what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll start inking off of my layer I have before. Now, like I said, this is a really key thing to understand. The more you raise that stabilization, the more you lose, I'm trying to remember where, there we go. The more you lose the quality of the line that is your personality. So you have to learn to work with it. You technically should not have to wait for the line to catch up with you. And if you see how I draw, you can see there's a humongous gap between my cursor and that line. And there's a reason why. It's how the software works, and certain other softwares will show that. So if you're going to use this at 100%, you have to learn to go much slower so that your line can kind of keep up with it. And it helps to do that because then you can focus on little details a little bit more. If you feel like that's too much for you, then drop it back. But once you've done that, the line does work better, but it's not as perfect. Right here, this area here, would be perfectly straight if I did that at 100%. It's going to be down to your opinion and your feeling of what you're comfortable with. Stop it. I can't see my keyboard, so I'm doing it blind. Let's go ahead and try this a little bit more. Let me bring it up to about 50 or 60. And I've learned to work pretty quick and slow down at the areas where I want to make sure it catches those details in the line work. And then, but the thing that I really love, the thing that really gets my attention about this is how beautiful the thick to thins are. Every other program I have ever tried, has never given me that kind of a line. Ever. No program has ever made it so sharp at one point and so sharp at another. If you try it in Photoshop, if you try it in Illustrator, there's always a weird little bulb, usually right at the front or right at the end, which is a very odd thing. And this software has taken that into account, gotten rid of that, and just given the most precision line. I mean, it's just, so pretty. I love it. So I can zoom in here quite a bit as well. I draw a lot of my stuff in 600 DPI, because that is usually a rather normal print quality, 300 and 600 DPI. And you can see I take my time now. I don't have to focus as much. And if I'm finding like this, that this area right here is struggling to do something, it's usually because I've made my brush too big. So I can just size my brush back, I keep looking at my keyboard here, to something smaller, so that when I come back and I redraw that line, I have to push harder to create that shape. All right, but I mean, I can just beautifully ink in this software. And if you are a comic artist, you will learn how important your line quality is. Because especially if you are just an inker and you're not maybe a colorist, your line work is what sets you apart and makes you different. That's what makes other people come back and go, oh, I want to hire them again. Let me zoom out here. There we go. And I'm going to set up my screen to behave now, but look at how clean that looks. There's precision in all of that, and I can go back in and I can make changes if I feel like I need to. Overlapping lines in this program, I don't feel like I need to scribble, and scribbling is something that a lot of starting artists do. And if I'm using a pencil, I scribble a lot. But in the world of digital, you can't scribble. Everything has to be one clean, solid motion. And so if I have to slow down and go over my original line work, I am going to be boosting that stabilization up to compensate. Color in this is great. It's got a great airbrush system. You can create as many layers as you want. You can do masks. You can do everything that you can do in Photoshop and Illustrator. Well, you can do some pretty cool stuff here that Illustrator can do as well, but you can't save out as an EPS. If you could, I would love that, but they don't have that feature. I find that I would do a lot more logo work in this program if I was able to save out as an EPS. I will often create my line work in here and then take it into Inkscape, convert it in Inkscape, and then take it into Illustrator or take it into Affinity Designer, and then take that converted artwork that is now vectored and then color it in those other programs. And it does somewhat okay. I just hate doing vector artwork, that's for sure. And depending on how big you end up drawing in vector is very, very key to learn. If you're going to be doing things like any kind of banner materials, anything like that, where you're going to be printing on any kind of material. If you're just doing it for digital, you're going to be great and you're going to be just fine. But if you're printing otherwise, you need to learn how to do vector, because at a certain point in time, someone's going to say, I want to put your logo on the side of my car, and you're going to be like, sweet, and then you draw it and it's all pixelated when you get to a certain size. You may as well have made the artwork originally full-blown, full size in vector, so that it can go any size it wants. Okay. If you guys have any questions about Clip Studio Paint Pro, I would be absolutely happy to answer it. I was going to do a review on the new Adobe software that they're creating that's going to be for artists as well. I forget what it's called, but I know that they're releasing it on iPad at some point in time in the future. But I'm sorry, Adobe is letting me down. And until they drop their prices, which you know they never will, I'm really not inspired. Unless they do something truly amazing with that software that trumps any other software, that trumps this software, which I have no idea how you would do that. I stick with Clip Studio Paint Pro. I've sold thousands of dollars out of this program, and I will sell thousands more out of it, and it's amazing. If there are any flaws with this software, it might be in their text areas. Texts don't quite do what you can do with them in Illustrator and in Photoshop. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not doing texts in here. If I am, I'm hand drawing texts, and I do hand draw an awful lot of texts. All right, this is a 20-minute video. You clicked out of this video most likely at about minute 3. So I don't expect anyone to stick around, and this is I'm going to start watching my analytics a little better and figure out how to keep you guys involved, and I know I'm going to fail this miserably. But needless to say, I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of a taste on what I would suggest for artists. I do think that Clip Studio Paint Pro is amazing. I do think that Procreate is amazing, but the problem with Procreate is you have to only have it on an iPad. And I guess now Clip Studio Paint Pro is probably only for iPad as well. And I really don't know any other tablet other than Wacom or iPad that truly can draw as well. I've seen other aftermarket ones. I would love to test them. If those companies see this video and they want to get in touch with me, please do. I'm a Wacom guy and I'm an iPad guy, and that's the two that I work on. So I'd love to test out some other ones, but at this point in time, these are my babies. And I would strongly suggest other people check them out too. I'm going to leave it at that. Leave your comments down below. Thank you so much for just checking it out. I need to do a full drawing video in here for you sometime just for giggles, just so you guys aren't seeing little random drawings like I do. But at the same time, I just wanted to continue the conversation of why I have left Adobe and why I'm looking for something else, and why, truthfully, I've already found what I think is the best drawing software out there. At this point in time, it's Clip Studio Paint Pro. Thank you so much for checking it out. You know what? I'm going to put Clip Studio's link down below so you can go and check it out for yourself. I'm not an affiliate. I wish I was, because I'd probably make a lot of money off of selling their product for them. Call me, Clip Studio. Would appreciate it. Otherwise, go check it out for yourself. I don't know how much it costs now. I can only say if you're looking for software that you can guarantee a great experience on drawing cartoons, if you're a comic artist or whatever the case, or you're a caricature artist, Clip Studio Paint Pro is worth the money that you're going to pay for your computer, and is worth the monthly that you pay to get for your iPad. I'm just saying. God bless you guys. I'll see you next time. Thanks for waiting for me. Fixed up the computer. It's working again. I can draw and talk at the same time. It's a miracle. I'll see you next time. God bless y'all. Take care.